The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
It's coming.
All these voices. All these voices.
They're mine. They're not yours. You had no right to them when you were alive, and you have no right to them when you're dead. That's what it sounded like. Good, you know who I am. And you know I'm not playing. You're going to let those women go. In Jesus' name, you're going to let those women go.
Is there a demon here watching us right now? Or just watching us right now?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Staring into the Abyss. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me, as always, my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
Good evening, misfits, sugarlees, monster lovers, and motherfuckers. What's up? Blessed be, and I hope you're having a good day, and week, and night.
Tonight's episode is going to be interesting. It's kind of breaking news, news that hasn't even really happened yet. And I know that sounds crazy, but I'll explain. And it's also a show that's going to be based on literally one sentence, one statement that was made. Let me break this down for you. I was listening to the Dan Bongino show, which I do most days. I really enjoy Dan Bongino's show. Bongino's awesome. And he had on a congressman named Tim Burchett from Tennessee. I think it's the 2nd district, but I may be incorrect. I'm not from Tennessee, so, I may not have that exactly right, but I know that he represents Tennessee in the House of Representatives. And they were talking about the UAPs, what we used to call UFOs. And Dan was asking what the hell they were, if he knew anything. And he basically said that they had a meeting, a classified meeting with a representative from the government, let's just say that was supposed to fill them in on what was going on with these things, what they were, where they come from, what we know about them. And basically, the guy came in there and lied through his teeth to Congress. And he said they don't know what they are, that they don't exist, that they're just made up, they're make-believe, they're not real. And Congressman Burchett said that was obviously a lie, because he had also been interviewing admirals and Navy pilots that have come in and given their testimony as well. And they're telling him that the thing was 10 feet away from their plane, that it's absolutely real. So he knew this guy was lying. So he announced on the Dan Bongino show, I don't know if this was an official announcement or just a comment made in passing, but he said that he would be introducing legislation into the House of Representatives to force the government to come clean and tell them what the hell was going on, what these things were, and what we know about them. He said that the idea that the American people are being lied to and that we're being kept in the dark about something like this that our government is spending a lot of money on is BS, and that he was going to introduce legislation to force them to come clean and announce to us what the hell was going on. Now, when he said that, he was meaning not just Congress, but also the American people. So we should finally be able to get to the bottom of it, of what it is. Now, that sounds on the surface like awesome news, okay? Great news. But there's multiple hurdles, okay? And the reason why I'm doing a whole show on literally one statement is because I think there's a lot of information here that we can discuss, and I'm very happy that Congressman Burchett said that he is going to be introducing that legislation, and I hope that he actually does. He seemed fairly sure that he was doing it. I mean, there was no wiggle room there. He promised he was going to do it. But the problem with that is that it's only the House of Representatives. So let's say he passes it in the House where the Republicans have a very, very slim majority. And let's say by some miracle, you get every one of the Republicans to vote for it. Now, you might think when I say that, well, why wouldn't they vote for it? They're all Republicans, so they should vote together, like the Democrats do. But unfortunately, that doesn't happen with the Republicans. Because, see, in the Republican Party, you have the real conservatives, right? And then you have what we call rhinos. That stands for Republican in name only, if you don't know. These people are essentially Democrats. They are fake Republicans, and they betray the true Republicans at pretty much every turn. They're scumbags. I say they're scumbags not because they don't agree with us. I say they're scumbags because they're a wolf in sheep's clothing. They pretend to be Republicans, but then they backstab you and make sure that you can't get nothing accomplished. Okay, I would say the same thing if it was the Democrats. See, the Democrats have the ultra crazy liberal left, the people that are chanting death to the Jews and all that crap, right? Those idiots. And then they have the regular mainstream Democrats. But see, the crazy side of that party has taken over the Democrat Party. But see, what the Democrats did that the Republicans don't do is the moderate Democrats, the normal old Democrats that we grew up with, go along with the crazy left. They don't stand up and say no to the extreme of that party. They vote in lockstep. They always go together. The Republicans don't do that. You have who would call themselves moderate Republicans, but are really not Republican at all. And they constantly screw us over. So let's say by some miracle, getting back to the point, that we are able to get that passed in the House of Representatives. That would be great. Then that bill has to go over to the Senate, and it has to be passed in the Senate as well, in order to go to the president to be either signed or vetoed. The Senate is not going to pass it. There's no way. And I'll tell you why, because the president, Biden, ain't going to sign it. So if the president's not going to sign it, then his party is not going to vote for it. So even if you get it passed in the House, it's going to die in the Senate. But let's say by some miracle, all of the Democrats in the Senate trip and fall and bump their heads. And they either miss the vote entirely, or they go and they vote, but they're so confused because they hit their head that they vote the wrong way and it passes. So let's say by a miracle it passes the House, goes to the Senate, passes the Senate, goes to the president's desk. The president has to sign it. He's not gonna. The reason he's not going to is because it's classified material. It falls under national security. Now, you can argue whether that's true or not. That's fine. I'm open for that debate. But that's what they're going to say. They're going to say that it's classified, it's national security, we can't do that. Now, the president has the power and the authority to declassify anything he wants. There doesn't have to be a hearing. There's no procedure. He can literally just say, this is now declassified, and it's declassified. That's one of the powers of the president. So if Biden wanted to, he could absolutely release all of this information. It wouldn't even take an act of Congress to do it. He could do it right now. He could just wake up, because you know his ass is always asleep. He could just wake up and say, you know what? I think I want some ice cream. That's probably what he'll say, because that's what he does all the time. But he might say, on the way to get ice cream, I think I'm going to declassify all this UFO crap and throw it out there. He could do it. He has the authority. But he hasn't yet. And we're like 6 months away from the election. And he still hasn't. So I don't think that the odds are very good that he is going to be declassifying that information. There's a lot of powerful people that want to keep that a secret. And a lot of people think that the president is in charge, that he runs the country, but that's just unfortunately not the case. The bureaucracy runs the country. The three-letter agencies run the country. We've seen what happens when a president tries to go against them. Look what they did to Kennedy. Kennedy was going to break up the CIA after they lied to him at the Bay of Pigs. He was going to dismantle it and shift responsibility over to other agencies. And he never made it out of Dallas. Trump, he wasn't run by the bureaucracy. He was his own man. He was trying to do what was right for the people. And he did a lot of cool stuff for the people. But you see what they're doing to him. I mean, they're doing everything they can to keep him out of office again. You know, the whole time he was in office, they impeached him multiple times over complete nonsense and BS that we now know 100% fake. No truth to it at all. It was constant lies in the media, day in and day out. And now that he's running for president again, what are they doing? They keep trying to throw him in jail. Trial after trial after trial, just to keep him off the campaign trail, to try to make sure he doesn't get elected. It's all nonsense. So you see what happens when a president goes against those three-letter agencies. So Biden's not going to do it. So no matter what Congressman Tim Burchett does, it's not coming out. I mean, they're just not going to release it, plain and simple. Now, let's talk about that a bit. Let's kind of noodle this together and figure out why. What could be so damaging and so damning that they will not release it no matter what? Because at this point in time, now depending on the poll, okay, there's different polls on this, but I would say that the average is about 3/4 of the country, 75% of people believe that aliens exist. 75% of people believe that there are UFOs piloted by people from outer space that are flying around in our atmosphere. And they furthermore believe that the government is lying about it. They believe the government knows and is lying. Okay? So you can't claim that the reason the government won't release it is because we couldn't handle the information. Okay, that's what a lot of people say. They say, oh, the government will never release that information because the people couldn't handle it. They'd freak out. Well, 3/4 of the people already believe it's true. So what would you confirming it do? Why would they freak out? They already believe that to be the case. All you're doing is confirming what they already believe. So there won't be a freak out. And they know there won't be a freak out. Because what will happen is with the people's short attention span, what always happens is something crazy happens. Everybody gets in an uproar about it for like a day, maybe two. And then they forget all about it and something else happens. And they never go back to it. Things that have real world consequences. Okay, look at Flint, Michigan. Look at the water situation there. Those people are drinking out of corroded, gross pipes that are causing disease. It's horrible. Absolutely horrible. This was going on when President Obama was in office. I bet y'all remember when he went there and he gave his little speech and he pretended to drink out of a glass. You know, they say the pipes aren't good. I'm thirsty. Bring me some water. And he takes it and he pretends to drink out of it. What did they do? Did they fix it? No. They didn't fix it. Nobody fixed it. You would think that the people of Flint would demand that the mayor would get that fixed. They don't. They may demand it, but he don't do it. And the problem is, Michigan is a deep blue state, so they're going to keep voting blue no matter who. So it don't matter. He don't have to fix it because he knows they ain't voting for the Republicans. So what does he have to lose? Nothing. He'll just claim, well, we don't have the money. So y'all are just going to have to keep getting sick and dying. Sorry. Now, that should be a massive story. And it was for a very short time. Who talks about it now? Nobody. Do those people have clean drinking water? No. It's probably worse than it ever was. Nobody's fixed it. Nobody's done anything to help them. Nobody talks about it. What about the wildfires in Hawaii? That was a horrible story. Remember that? Everybody was up in arms about it. They were making TikToks about it. They were making YouTube videos about it. Man, they were talking about it on the news. Celebrities were doing their little stories and all this stuff about it, right? Who talks about it now? Pretty much nobody. Has anything been done? Have they helped those people? No. They gave them a one-time payment of a tiny little, I think it was like $700 or something, a tiny little amount of money. And worse than that, not only did they screw them and not give them any money to help them, while they're sending billions and billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine, right? But they can't help the people of Hawaii. But not only that, but now they're starting to steal their land right out from underneath them. They're claiming, oh, well, we need this land now for this, that, or the other thing. So we're just going to take it. Using eminent domain to just steal their land. Where's everybody at? Why is nobody talking about it anymore? Because they're on to the next thing. That's the way the American public is. Very short attention spans. And most of them are dumber than a damn box of rocks. They don't know nothing. And the reason they have such short attention spans is because they've been trained that way. Twitter, 144 characters. TikTok videos, only a couple minutes. Facebook puts up these little shorts that are only a couple minutes. YouTube has shorts now, only a couple minutes. Yes, you can have long videos on YouTube as well, but they don't do as well as the short ones because people's attention spans are garbage. They can't pay attention for very long, and when they do, by some miracle, pay attention for more than a minute or two, they have trouble comprehending what they're hearing. They can't understand because they're dumb. Now, why? Why are people dumb? It's because they're not being taught anymore. The schools are indoctrination camps where they teach woke BS instead of fundamental stuff that you need to know. And more important than that even, and that's pretty damn important, but even more important than that is they're not being taught how to think. They're just being taught memorization. Memorize this ideology, repeat it back. That's all it is. Instead of teaching them to question everything and how to think and how to do your own research. That's what school used to teach. Not anymore. So the result of that is dumber and dumber and dumber people as we go. And it's sad. And it's scary. Because these people are going to take over the country. When all of us old timers are gone, they'll be running everything. And they're dumb as hell. Now, a lot of them running things now are dumb as hell too. And that's scary and sad too. It's not a good combination. So you can't tell me that the people couldn't handle it. Hell, the people won't even be able to remember it. You'll make the announcement, everybody will go, okay, we knew that. And then everybody will talk about it. And then something else will happen. And everybody will just Move on to that thing. And it won't even be an issue anymore. So that can't be it. So what is it? Some people say that maybe it's because that the government knows that aliens are real. They've actually met with them, and they have deals in place with them. There's a theory that talks about Eisenhower having a meeting with an alien race and making a deal with them, that in exchange for technology, that they were free to abduct a limited amount of people every once in a while and do some experimentation on them and stuff. Could that be the reason? Because they don't want you to know that they've made a deal with these things and that they sold you out? Maybe. Could be. Could it be that they've known that these things were real and that they existed since Roswell and even before? And that there has been programs in place run out of a tiny little office in the Pentagon to reverse engineer the technology from the crash sites? And that a lot of the things that you have today in your modern life that make civilization so cool now are a direct result of that technology that they found? Could it be that it's a very interesting coincidence that around that time period everything was run on tubes? Your TV had a tube in it, everything did. Tubes and transistors. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the circuit board comes. That's pretty cool technology. That enables everything. And a microchip. Could that be the reason? Who knows? Is that even true? Well, there's a hell of a lot of testimony that that's the case. People have come forward that have worked on those projects and have spilled the beans, even down to knowing that the office that they were doing that out of, the Pentagon, is a tiny little office about the size of a closet, and that they had a shelf across from the desk with boxes, just boxes, that had a lot of this stuff piled in it, and they would farm it out to different corporations and say, hey, you guys do some R&D on this stuff and try to figure out what the hell it is, and any products or technology that you can gain from it, you can keep and make products with and make money. And we'll take your research and we'll use it for military as well. Could that be the reason? They don't want you to know? Could it also be the reason, and this is a pretty interesting one, and this would definitely explain it, that maybe the things that are flying around aren't UFOs at all. They're not alien at all. That they're ours. That they are drone technology that the United States of America has come up with. And that the reason they don't want you to know, that they don't want to release information, is because it's a black project. It is literally a national security situation because it's our military that is developing this stuff. Now, if that was the case, you might say, well, James, wait a minute. If that was the case, wouldn't the Navy pilots know? No, they wouldn't know. The only people that know would be the people who had the need to know, people working on the project. Until it was actually released, you wouldn't even know that it existed. Especially in this case, because there's no pilot. It's not like somebody's inside those things, flying. That's impossible. Not with our current understanding of propulsion. There's no way. Because those things can travel at tremendous speed, stop on a dime, turn, and shoot off in another direction at amazing speed. The amount of G's that you would suffer as a pilot would kill you. There's no way that a human being could be inside that thing using any form of propulsion or the laws of physics as we currently understand them. It's impossible. Now, could it be technology that we don't know about? Could it be some completely new method of propulsion that completely neutralizes any G-force? Maybe. Could that technology, instead of using thrust to propel a craft forward, instead use frequencies, sound? And in order to find the right frequency and match it, then you can travel at the same speed the Earth is traveling, that it's spinning. And there would be zero G-forces because you're not actually moving. It's moving away from you. Could that be the case? That's definitely an interesting concept. There's some very, very, very interesting science going on that talks about that exact thing. And it's coming from a very unlikely source, somebody you wouldn't expect. A gentleman named Terrence Howard. You guys probably know him as an actor, the actor from Empire. He was in Iron Man. That guy. Brilliant, brilliant mind. Nobody's taking him seriously because he was a famous actor. But he was recently on Rogan. And I don't know if you guys watched that episode of Rogan, but if you have not seen it, it's worth a look. The man is brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. And he talks about this very thing. He talks about a completely new method of flight and a new method of propulsion that doesn't rely on thrust, that instead matches frequency and actually causes the planet to move away from you instead of you move away from the planet. So there's zero G-forces on you. So if that technology is being utilized, if that's something that they actually have, one, it completely rewrites the laws of physics, completely rewrites it, which, that's been done before. Physics, we think that science knows everything. We think that they're always right, but usually they don't know what they're talking about. They have a general idea, but if you knew the amount of science in general, but especially like astrophysics, that are just guesswork, you'd be shocked. But yet this stuff is taught in schools as if it is gospel, as if it is the unbelievably pure truth, when it's simply not. It's guesswork. All of these theories, the theory of the multiverse, the theory, string theory is another great example. All of this stuff is theory. That's what it is. It's guesswork. Now, there might be some equations that seem to kind of prove it out, but if you even look into the equations themselves, there's guesswork in the equation. There's faulty logic on some of these things. We look at these people and we say, well, they're brilliant. They know exactly what they're talking about. But we're finding out more and more and more that it's simply not the case. We did a show a couple weeks ago about evolution, and I ran through the science on evolution, and it's BS. But yet we're taught that in school as if it's real. What else are we being taught in school that's not real? What else is just guesswork that is being portrayed as fact? So could that be the reason? That these craft are not in fact alien at all, that it is technology that we've developed. And they're ours. And that's why they won't release it. Because they don't want to release the information on a top secret military project that gives us a massive advantage. Could be. They've done it before. We saw it with the U-2 spy plane, right? We saw it with stealth technology. There's a lot of stuff like that they didn't admit existed until either one, they didn't have a choice because somebody found it and said, "Look, it's right there." And they said, "Shit, now we gotta tell everybody about it." Or two, the technology is no longer novel. It's no longer brand new. They're already working on something better, and it's kind of outdated technology, so they release it to the public. Look at this new thing we came up with. And you're like, wow, that's crazy. That's like space age stuff. But in reality, they've had that for a decade or more, and they're already way past that. We know for a fact that during the 1950s, they were working on saucer technology. We know it. It's there to see. Government programs trying to develop flying saucer-shaped, UFO-shaped aircraft and fly them around. We have video of the test flights. We know that it existed. We know that it was an actual government program. So within the 1950s, they were building flying saucers and trying to fly them around. And it is now 2024. How much further along do you think that technology is? Think about the other technology from the 1950s. You were still dealing with records. You didn't even have cassette tapes yet, I don't think. I think it was records, and then after records came 8-tracks, and then after 8-tracks came cassettes. And I don't think cassettes hit until like late 70s, early 80s. Because in the 70s and the 60s, you were dealing with 8-tracks and records. And now you got digital downloads. I guess the newest physical technology for music is still CD, I guess, but nobody actually uses them anymore. Everybody just listens, they either stream the music on Spotify or something like that, or they just download it and listen to it on an MP3 player. We went from having phones in our homes that had long cords that you would call somebody and walk around your house with a cord, and if you weren't home, you just didn't get the message, man. You didn't know. We went from that to having answering machines developed, and then pagers, and now we have cell phones. So your phone is with you all the time, and not only is your phone with you, but you have access to all of the information in the entire world at your fingertips. Right on you at all times. You can look up anything you want. You have a computer in your hand, like out of Star Trek. So you can see that the technology is vastly different from the 1950s. It's like the difference between the Flintstones and Star Trek. So if regular technology is that much different, what do you think the flying saucer technology would be like if they were working on it publicly in the 50s? Which means they were probably working on it before the 50s, if the 50s is when it was public. Could that also mean that they were working on that technology before the crash at Roswell? And could it be that the crash at Roswell was not an alien spacecraft that crashed, but an early test flight of something the military was developing? And people thought they were aliens. So the government thought, well, I could say, no, they're not aliens. It's a test flight for a secret military project. Or I could just wink and a nod at the alien thing, let people believe that, and then make up some cockamamie story about it being a weather balloon. That way, people will say, well, that's obviously BS. They're trying to cover up the fact that it's aliens. And you get that thing going, and you get people talking about that, and everybody believes in that. And then what have you accomplished? Nobody's talking about the fact that you crashed new technology you were working on. Everybody thinks it was aliens, so nobody knows about your new technology. That's the government's main goal, is to keep secret what they're working on. So they're perfectly happy to let you believe that they're UFOs from space, that aliens are here. Because if you believe that, then they've done their job. Their aircraft is still top secret. So I think that's a very good possibility. A very good possibility. So if that's the case, and we have technology that advanced that they're not telling us about, and the sightings of UFOs are actually our craft and not aliens, then once again, there's no way in hell they're ever going to declassify that until they're ready to. The only way you're going to get that is once they start using them in war and stuff like that, widespread where everybody knows about it. That's the only way. Or if one crashes and the pilot survives or something like that, and people find it, and they say, look, there's the pilot getting out of the UFO. Something like that would make them say, okay, yeah, it's us. But short of that, they're not gonna come out and declassify that for you. So while I respect and I applaud Congressman Burchett's attempt to force the government to actually be honest with the American people, while I respect the hell out of that, I think it's a losing battle. I also think it's a pretty sad thing that our government lies to us about everything all the time. And I don't understand how there are still people out there that will listen to something that they tell you and believe it still to this day. But they're there. They're still doing it. I mean, all of the long history that the government has lied about. I mean, the Gulf of Tonkin, they got us into the Vietnam War. That was a government op. It was a false flag in order to get us into that war. It was a lie. The Tuskegee experiments, where they purposely infected a bunch of black people with syphilis. They claimed, oh, you guys got, there's some disease that's only affecting you guys. So come on in here. We're going to give you injections that'll fix you. And of course, they come in trusting that the government's telling them the truth, and they inject them with syphilis. And not only did they inject them with syphilis, but then they left it untreated and just observed them to see what long-term effects syphilis would have if left untreated. It was a science experiment. They did that. In recent memory, we saw what they did during the whole pandemic, how much they lied. They lied about the Fauci ouchie. They lied about the mask. They lied about 6 feet apart. They lied about everything. But you still got people today walking around wearing them stupid things on their face. It's ridiculous. I don't understand why people don't have better discernment. Why can't you take a look at the long history of lies from the government and make the logical connection in your mind that, wait a minute, these people are full of crap. So anything they tell me, especially if it's going to limit my freedom in any way, maybe I ought to actually do a little research and look into it and see what the actual studies say, instead of just listening blindly to whatever they say and then insulting people online if they don't agree with you. People that actually know better than you, who were right when you were wrong. But that didn't stop a whole bunch of you from doing this. Running your dumb mouth. Insulting family, insulting friends, alienating them. Stopping being friends with them completely over a lie. It's despicable behavior. But it happens again and again and again in our society. I don't understand. Even a dog learns pretty quick that if he runs up to you and you back him with a stick in the head, whack! Then he runs away. Now, he don't come back too many times with you hitting him in the head with a stick before he says, you know what, I'm not going over by that guy no more. Every time I go and try to say hello, he hits me with a stick. That guy is not a nice guy. I'm not going to hang out with him. Matter of fact, if he gets close enough to me, I'm going to bite his ass. Even dogs figure that shit out that quick. But not people. People are like, oh, the government said I had to put this on the fence. Well, follow the arrows in the store. Make sure you're 6 feet apart. Dumb, man. They never learn. So my advice to you is, whatever they say, check it yourself, man. And actually do some research. Don't just look at Snopes and say, well, Snopes says it's not real. Because Snopes is not a real fact-checking thing. They're run by lefty idiots who are just supporting the same narrative. Don't just turn on the news. CNN, MSNBC, hell, even Fox. And listen to what those idiots say. And say, well, they say it's true because they're lying to you too. We got example after example after example of them lying constantly. You have to be responsible for doing your own research. Source materials. Don't listen to what somebody else says about it. Go look for yourself. If you want to know whether or not that stupid mask will stop a virus, don't listen to some person on TV telling you that it will. Don't listen to some person on TV telling you that it won't. Look it up. Go into your favorite search engine, whatever it is, and simply type in, what is the weave pattern of this mask? And you'll find out, well, it's 60 microns. Okay. That's a good piece of information. That's fact. That's data point. That's not opinion. That's not some talking head over here telling you or some talking head over here telling you. That is a factual number. Okay. 60 microns. Cool. Now look up, how big's a virus? Because if this thing that has a weave pattern of 60 microns is going to stop a virus from getting through it, then the virus must be larger than 60 microns. Otherwise, it's going to pass right through. Simple logic. So your next step is you do a search and you say, well, how big's a virus? What? 1 micron? That's the average size of a virus? Okay, well, how big was this virus? The one that made us all put those masks on and freak out and the whole world go crazy? How big was that? What do you know? 1 micron, just like all the other ones. Crazy. So what are the odds that something that is 1 micron will be stopped by something that has 60 micron holes all through it? It ain't stopping it. Not at all. That would have took you 5 minutes to actually look it up. Or if you were feeling, lazy and you didn't feel like actually looking it up yourself, all you had to do was look at the box that you got the damn mask out of. Because right on the box it said, this mask does not prevent coronavirus. Says it. Right on the damn box. So that would have been a real easy way to figure out that, wait a minute, this thing ain't going to work. So what does that tell you? Well, that tells you that all of the people that were telling you to put it on and mandating that you had to put it on, they were either incredibly stupid, in which case they shouldn't have been running anything, and you shouldn't be listening to them because they're dumb, or they were lying to you, in which case they shouldn't be running nothing. You shouldn't tolerate that. You shouldn't allow your government officials to lie to you all the time and still vote for them. Why would you do that? Do you think that they're going to change? Do you think that they're not going to lie to you? That's all the government does, is lie to you and take your money and try to make you do what it says. If you don't, if you threaten it in any way, the narrative that they're trying to put forth, then they punish you. We saw that as well. We saw people's accounts being demonetized, people being shadow banned. We saw people being kicked off of Twitter, kicked off of Facebook. That sucked. And they were right. We saw doctors who specialized in diseases being censored. When it's literally what they do for a living. But they were censored because they didn't go along with the narrative. Over and over and over again throughout history, we see this happening. We see the government trying to pull some crap, somebody speaking up against it, and that person being taken out. Why would you believe anything they say? I'm going to throw over to Old Boy and see what he has to say about all this. And then after he is done, I'll be back to wrap this thing up, and we'll move on to the next one. So, Old Boy, go ahead, brother.
So, I hope you guys listen to what James is saying. Tim Burchant, the senator, is going to bring out a bill about aliens. He said it on the Magnotta show, I think that's how you say his name, and my opinions on it and what I think is going to happen, because he hasn't done it yet. So, I mean, that's the first thing I'm going to say. So, I heard about this like last week, me and James were talking about it. I guess a lot of people, it's just breaking news. So, do I think it's going to happen, or is he going to do it? I think he's probably it's going to be a bill he's going to bring out. Sorry, let me rephrase that. About if they don't, they're going to bring a bill that they have to bring out documents about aliens. Do I believe that? And I'll get into that in a minute. Yeah, I believe that, but I don't care what anybody says or does. They're not going to admit it yet. Unless they come and talk to us, they're going to be able to lie about that. But till they actually come out and finally get forced to do it, they'll dance around it for another 5 or 10 years till there ain't going to be no way of doing it, but you're going to see them. But they're going to keep dancing around this for years. I'm just going to tell you guys, even if he makes a lie, somebody will, they'll, like I said, people will forget about it in a month, because they'll change it and say it's all conspiracy theories like they always do. And we all know that, guys. That being said, do I think it's a good idea? Yeah, I think the truth needs to come out, because it's going to change a lot of things. And I think that's what a lot of people are afraid of, especially, government, religious people, and belief altogether is going to change. And I think that's why there's a lot of people who don't want this out. It's not going to, you can't stop something like this. It's going to happen. Things find a way to make themselves manifest. You can't stop it. Yeah, I see you guys. If you guys see me, I got my long hair growing out now, and you guys, oh, you look like a biker. A lot of people think, yeah, it's just how I am. I live a crazy life, guys. I live a different life. I love my life. I wouldn't change it for anything. So if you guys see me with long hair now, yeah, I'm growing out my hair. I look way different than I used to. So, Merchant, I think that's his name, Tim Merchant. You know what? Oh, I'll throw it out there. You can always come on our show and talk to us about it. We'll love to have you on. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know if you'll see the show or not, but we'll have you on. You can talk a little bit about this. I'd love to have you on. So James, I know he would. This is not my big thing. I love aliens. Aliens are cool, and I would love to just. It's not my top. Maybe top 6. My top 5, just be straight out. My favorite is Bigfoot. That's number 1. Probably Paranormal number 2. Loch Ness Monster 3. Werewolves or Dogman 4, whatever you want to call it. And Mothman 5, and then probably Aliens 6. And then top 10, I would probably run out with Demons at 7, 8 Jersey Devil, or I might have even said that already. Not Jersey Devil. Champ at 8, 9 the Chupacabra, because I believe it exists, and 10 vampires. In that order. I believe they exist. All of those that I said, most of them. Maybe vampires, I don't know, but I believe they could very much exist. But aliens is just not my big topic. I've never been a big fan. I would love to go to space, and I like Star Wars, and I like different creatures and stuff like that, but it's never been my thing. I mean, I've done some stuff on it. I always believe aliens exist, and it's not going to be no surprise to me, and I know it's going to be no surprise to James. James is more into science and space and stuff, and he worked on NASA, and his dad was in the military. So he's going to have a bigger knowledge of this, and he likes stuff like that. And nothing that I have a problem with it. I love space and stuff like that. It's just aliens, just not my thing. It's like history and stuff. Some of it is. It's interesting. Don't get me wrong. I'm just not that guy. I'm the talk shit, go into people's houses, having demons chase me, trying to kill me, people trying to kill me, monsters trying to kill me. But I'm not the knowledgeable guy. I'm just the crazy fucker. And James is the knowledgeable guy. I'm the one with the good looks. I'm just kidding. I know you guys probably laughing. I'm the one with the jokes. There we go. But I guess, fuck. I would love to hear it. That's why I said I would love to have him on the show. I don't know if he'll probably hear it, but come on our show. Tell us about everything you want to talk about. Well, we have no problem with it. Maybe some people will, but we won't. And if you ever want to tell us something, or you want to be on the show, let us know, and we could probably get you on. If you have something that we need to talk about, if you just want to be on here just to get on your 15 minutes of fame, and we have people who do that really don't know what they are talking about, and please know what you have something that's not just because you had some experience, or we don't care. We want to hear stuff like that, but if it's something that we can really have a show about, not 10 minutes. We can have you on, and we love you. We love our fans, but some people come on and we'll tell them what it just, we don't think so, or they'll get pit, and some people get mad, and that happens. People want to be famous, and that's not what we're here to do. We're here to help people and have people learn, and maybe try something new. You never know. We've been doing this for almost 8 years, guys. Coming up on Parax, I think it's 7 coming. On the show altogether, 8, 9 years. I think it's 8. It's going to be 9 years. Sorry, 8, 9, somewhere around there. Getting old. I don't remember. I'm just playing. I think it's going to be 8.5 right now for staring all together. Next year will be 9 years. Fuck, 9 years, man. Shit, I was 37, 36 when I started doing this show. I think it was. No, 37. I'm going to be fucking 46 soon. Shit. I was 37.5, I think. Somewhere around there. I'm just rambling. Sorry, guys. It happens sometimes. I'm probably not going to do a lot on this. I'll probably have James talk a little more. Because this isn't, to me, everybody's claiming they're going to do this and they're going to do that. And I believe this guy really going to do it. I believe they just need to make a bill where they have to force the government to tell us what's really going on. It's never going to happen. That's a dream world. That's a fantasy world. But if we really knew the truth, I think that I think that there ain't money to be made. And I think that's a lot of it. It's working on people's fears. It's keeping people that there may be something there and there may not. I think in general, I think people believe aliens exist. I even seen it, like, I think it's 75% of people in the country believe that aliens exist. And I think it was like 68% of people believe all over the world. And I think that's probably fair. There's some people who either they just doubters, they doubt everything, or they're scared to admit it. And there's some people, their religious beliefs, they're keeping them from that. And even most people who are religious believe it. James is, my mom, I know a lot of people who are religious people and they believe that there's aliens. And that doesn't mean that it's not in the Bible that they're not. And the first thing some people, it's demons. Dude, you know what? You can believe whatever you want. James, this is another thing that we've talked about this shit. With people thinking everything's evil. It's not. Again, I really wish our government would tell us things. And this is a dream world, like I said, in a real world where people got along and didn't kill each other over nothing, and rumors and bullshit. And the sad thing is that 90% of people probably died. It's bullshit. Something happened. It didn't happen. Or, people die for dumb reasons and do dumb shit because of rumors, stories, stuff, or they just don't like each other over jealousy, just stuff that happens. But, that's another story, another show. But if he could, I can't wait to find out if he's going to actually bring the bill out. I know how this is going to work. They're going to push it into the window. Certain people are going to vote on it. They're going to, even if it gets past the Senate, they won't fucking vote on it. They do it with everything. They'll push it under the table. If it is an agenda for certain people, especially with the presidency going on, I think we got 6 months. So it has nothing to, no one cares. Everybody should care, because that's bigger than all of this. I mean, maybe in the United States it's not, but aliens existing is probably one of the biggest things ever. And people think it's such a joke, and that's what's so crazy about it. And it's just to be comfortable, not to be so privileged to think you're the only ones here in this world, when we're probably not. And there's a big possibility on that. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying worry and don't get no sleep over it every night, but come on, guys, like, you can't be that ignorant. I'm not saying everybody, you know what I'm saying. Like, I just think people worry about stuff that doesn't really matter. Like the presidency, yes, it does. I get that. But I think people are more worried about that than knowing the truth of what's really going on in the world. They'd rather be lullabied with a bedtime story than know the nasty truth. And that's with a lot of people. They would rather be lied to and pretend to be all right, and everything's just fine. Like, you ever see that menu on YouTube? Not on YouTube, on Facebook. The guy's sitting there and there's fire everywhere, and the house is on fire, and he's all, everything's just fine. He's just sitting there and takes a drink. It's like a dog sitting in there and he's like in hell, or the house is on fire. Everything's just fine. It will be all right. And no, it's not. That's how we are. That's how I see that. It's just true. We're like sad saying, like I show it. We're like, we know what's going on. We just don't really want to care or want to admit to it. Because then if we care and we admit to it, then a lot of people think their lives are not meaningful. And that's not true. It's stupid. We still have meaning. We were made for some reason. I don't care what you believe in. There's a reason for all of us to be here. And anything, any creature, anything, alien, whatever, Bigfoot, we were meant to be here. You have a story, and it's getting told, and it'll continuously be told. My opinion is, I think people come back more than one time, except this is my last time. And this is my wife's last time. I've been here many times, and I know things I would never known before, and I'm comfortable with places I've never been, and I've been there once, and I feel like I've lived there forever. And I know I'm not coming back. I don't want to come back to this fucked up place. not the world I want to be in anymore. And there's nothing you can do about it. Like, I'm going to live my life the way I live it, and whatever happens, happens, and that's the way I look at it. You can't stop living because you're worried about everything that's bad's going to happen. I can't do that, and neither can I want anybody to do that. Think about it. You're in the world. It's big to us, but it's like a little pebble in a giant ocean of stars and moons, and we can be destroyed at any time, and people forget that. But I wouldn't worry about it. I think people really do think about that we could be destroyed at any time. A fucking asteroid hits us, we're done. It's what happened to the dinosaurs, I believe. But it could. I think we would know, but you never know. There's always that thing. Something can ricochet off of something and fly right into us. Yeah, we'll know we won't do any good. We're done. 99% of us will die. Some people will get away. They have a way. They have something. I know they have. They've been doing it for years. They'll figure a way to get out of this, and they will. And just like Fallout, I know you guys have been watching the show. I hope you guys have been watching. It's a great show. There will be certain people who survive. And the next thing will be maybe like every hundreds of million years, some new species comes, sorry guys, itching my leg. But maybe a new species like dragon people or something. I'm just showing you, what I'm talking about. Or lizard people or something will be here, and they get a crack at a life and of 100, 200 million years, and then something else changes after that. Maybe that's just how the cycle goes. I don't think we're doomed yet. I think it's coming. Maybe not in this century, but in the next couple hundred years, maybe. Maybe. I don't think the whole world will end, but I think a lot of people will be gone. I just think that we destroy everything. We just how we are. And that being said, I hope he does try to do a bill. I hope it at least gets out and people talk about it, because it's something that needs to be talked about. Aliens exist, and that's just my opinion, and I believe that. I've seen stuff that I know that they exist. James knows they exist. He can't say a lot of stuff, and that's how I know they exist. I know people who work in government and told me, and that's as far as we'll go. And they exist. And if you don't believe it, that's fine. You don't have to believe it. I don't give a fuck. I mean, it's not going to change my opinion. It's not going to change yours. You're going to go to bed tonight, and I'm going to go to bed tonight. Am I going to care about it? Like a windy day? Same thing. Like a breezy day, I'm not going to worry about it. Neither should you. Keep going to sleep and waking up and doing what you're doing. If that works for you, that's all that matters. I can't do that, but that's fine. I'm not making fun of anybody. That's some people who can do that, who can just glaze through life and not realize what's really going on. And that's a lot of people. That's the majority of the people in the world. They care about stuff that doesn't matter to the bigger picture. And I'll explain that to you. Like aliens, that's a big thing, guys. Aliens being in the world, or being and just people from other planets. I'm not going to say aliens. I don't even like saying that. Beings from other planets or people, creatures, whatever. That being said, and we're worried about electric cars, ocean, stupid shit, elections, religious crap, video games, TV, cars. We all get caught up in it. I get it. But the reality is there's stuff that we're never going to know that are actually real. And I'm not going to say ever going to know, but we don't know yet. Never say never. But when they come, what are you going to do? Are you going to, you're going to listen to the show one day or other shows like this? Man, they were telling us the truth. What do we do? There's nothing really you can do. And I'm not saying it, go hide under your bed and sleep under your covers and have a flashlight and worried everything's going to come after you, because I'm going to tell you that's not a way to live. You could die walking out your house tomorrow, drop dead, get hit by a car, airplane. You could live 100 years from now. It doesn't matter. Stuff can happen in an instant and you'll never know. I just don't want people to say, I told you so. When it happens, I'm going to say this. Me and James are going to say, we told you so. And I'm just going to sit here and we'll do a show about it. Maybe we'll have an alien on here one day. Not a extraterrestrial or a being from another planet. That would be like such a cool show. I would so love to do that. That would be like a dream. Just like they're going to bring back the woolly mammoths and saber-tooth tigers, and people are like cool for like 5 minutes and it goes, that doesn't matter. If that happens, you know how crazy that is? They brought something back. I mean, I already think they already have and they just don't tell us, but that's like something amazing and people don't care. They care about Taylor Swift or Super Bowls, and it's cool to like that stuff, but I think people get too caught up in that, not really realize other stuff in the world happening. You know, we used to like when they shot off rockets into the moon and people went to other planets, or, you know, we still were going to go to Mars eventually, or space. That used to be a big thing and people loved it. Now it's like, who gives a fuck? Who cares? Oh no. You know, when it blew, you know, they had that accident in 85 when they blew up. I think it was the Challenger blew up. Then people cared. But then forgot. And that's just how that's how people are. Human attention spans just don't last. They get into, it has to keep going and going and going. Some people can just like, cool, I like no change. A lot of people are like that. I don't like change, but I just deal with it. And that's just how it goes. And some people are different to me. I'm not like everybody. I think you guys know that I'm a lot different. If I ever do a show, it's going to be very unique show. Especially James. James is a very unique person also. We're two different kind of people. Our wives are different, in a good way, in our opinions, and some people don't think that. I don't give a fuck. I love my wife. I know James loves his wife, and he loves his family. We're just different people. And being around people where, you know, it is what it is. We kind of have to, but kind of choose not to, but that's just how we are. We're different. We're different than most people. It's how we are. James could sit and do what he does, survival, camping, and never talk to anybody again, and he'd be fine with it. I wouldn't. I still have to talk to people, but he's just that kind of person. He doesn't care what the world's doing, and I do, and I don't either. Sometimes I do. I don't want to say that. We care about people and stuff that's going on. Most stuff just doesn't matter to us, and stuff like this does, because it's interesting and something different and unique and strange, like people like to say. But that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. That's all I got to say. I really haven't too much to say about this. It's, like I said, it's more of James is probably going to do and talk about. So I hope you have a good night, guys, and I love you. Blessed be, motherfuckers.
Thank you, brother. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Let me know down in the comments section what you think. Do you think that this will pass Congress? Do you think that if it does, that it'll make its way to the president? Do you think the Senate will shoot it down, or do you think it'll actually get to his desk? Do you think he'll sign it? Do you think, even if he signs it, that they'll actually release anything substantive? I don't think so. But as always, it's up to you to make up your own mind. And we'll catch you on the next one. Till I speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do I. Bye-bye.